Mason, congratulations. How much did you need that second half performance?
Yeah, massively. I thought the first half we obviously had loads of chances created, a lot going forward, and we didn't take as many as we should. And then we let them back in with a little bit of sloppy play at the end of the first half. It was disappointing going into the second half, going into the changing. As a group, we're disappointed with that. We were frustrated, even though I thought we were playing very well. The gaff had some things to say, and then it was down to us to go and react, and go out there second half and put on a proper performance like I think we did in the first. And yeah, we did that.
That feeling that you had at half-time, that's been the feeling the last few weeks in some ways with the results that you've had. Do you feel like you've got that out of your system now with the way that you put that game to bed?
Yeah, we can't let that creep in. As you said, it's been a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but we can't let that happen. In a game like this, we can't let it happen. We got mentally stay strong throughout the game, even if they have a few chances, stay in the game and defend as a team, as an 11. Do everything we can to not let that ball go in the back of our net. We obviously switched off and they scored. So listen, it doesn't matter who you're playing in the Premier League. They can score, they can create. But as I said, then second half, all our focus was just be ruthless, finish the game, finish our chances, and go forward and attack with purpose.
You've moved up to 6th place. You've had the opportunity to climb the table a few times in recent weeks. You've taken it tonight. It's only 1 point outside the top 4. That's a bit more like it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Listen, we know we need to win games, and we should have won more recently. So yeah, it's tough when we don't perform to the best of our ability and we drop some points, because we know what we can do when we're at full flow. So yeah, it's good to push up, get the 3 points, but we can't stop now. We need to keep going.
A win, a goal, and the Player of the Match award as well. Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, all smiles for United and Mason Mount. I mean, 4 goals is a bonus for them, 3 points. But I must say, on the other side of it, they've still only kept 1 clean sheet all season. They've conceded 22 goals as well. Is that why they're not higher up the table and they haven't got the consistency they're after?
Yeah, they would have liked to have kept a clean sheet tonight, I think, going to Wolves. And I don't think they really gifted Wolves many chances, just that one late on in the first half, which they got punished for. But I think overall, within the game, they defended pretty well, kept Wolves to very few chances. And teams in the Premier League, like Mason Mount said there, they are going to create chances at times. And it's about, as a unit, as a team, staying compact and defending well when you can. And just tonight, they just switched off for that brief moment at the end of the first half.
Which has been a recurring theme. And when James's Everton frustrated them and West Ham did in the last game, that's why they're frustrated they're not higher in the table. But at least tonight, they responded in the second half and got the job done.
Yeah, they certainly did. And it was really evident right from the first couple of minutes of the second half that this was going to be one-way traffic. You know, they got in once or twice before they actually scored. And Wolves all of a sudden played a high line, had trouble defending the numbers that flooded forward. So, yeah, I mean, we all know in terms of the players, Manchester United have got a lot to offer. We see it in glimpses. And there's been plenty of false dawns for years and years and years now. But that's a nice position. 6th in the league, a point behind Champions League places is something that all of a sudden it gets you up in the morning thinking, come on, lads. When you're floating around 15th, 16th like they were last season, it's demoralising. You don't even look forward to playing football. It's just horrible. You want the ground to swallow you up. So at least now they've got something to play for. And this is a bit more like it. Still a long way to go, of course, but signs are promising tonight. Yeah,
and they got the reaction, as Mason Mount was talking about there in the second half, and got the goals. And he was involved, obviously, scoring one, creating another. Brian Mbeumo's been a big success this season as well, hasn't he? Another goal for him.
Yeah, and we, as Michael said, we saw the space that United were finding in behind the back 3 or back 5, as you would say. You could see here Dalot exploiting that space in behind in a square pass to Mbeumo. You just see Mosquera, who's the right centre-half, he sort of reads the initial pass, but then he gets intercepted by, I think it's Krejci. Sort of gets his feet sort of tangled up until he turns the wrong way and loses Dalot. And as you see just earlier in the clip, Agbadou tries to sort of step and to intercept the pass, and he just doesn't really get in the line of the ball, and then it just leaves the space wide open for United to expose and Mbeumo to tap it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good goal from Manchester United's point of view. It's quick, it's decisive, unselfish at the end. But, you know, James makes a couple of really good points from a defensive point of view. I think he just lost his... When he spins around, he loses all his momentum, doesn't he? And then he can't really chase back. And he's unfortunate, really, because I think you made the point, when the ball was almost deflected, he's probably spinning around to think, we're back in possession, let's, you know, but all of a sudden it dropped to a Manchester United player and he lost all his momentum. Here it is, just there on the right-hand side of the screen. So he almost does a 360 spin, doesn't he?
Yeah, he tracks Dalot initially, and as I said, there's a pass gets intercepted, he's almost trying to find the ball again, probably ends up turning off the wrong shoulder to try and find where the ball is, and before he knows it, Dalot's carried on making his run, and it's been slipped into by Cunha, and exposed the sort of back three. Keeper comes rushing out, and an easy tap in for Mbeumo.
Mason Mount got the player of the match there. Important for him to be bright, get back in the team, stay injury-free, and he's scoring goals at the moment as well.
I'm pleased for him. I mean, he's had a real tough time since he's been, like a lot of players at Manchester United have had, but, you know, he's had injury problems, he's had, you know, not been in favour, let's say, but he's really starting in the last, probably this season, actually, to get into the manager's thoughts for a starting berth, and he's been starting a fair bit. Again, from a defensive point of view here, James, where do you think Wolves can do better?
If I reflect to the game that we played against him, I was constantly just watching where Bruno Fernandes was and just asking people to get close to him. If you just see early in that clip there, Bruno manages to get himself 5 yards. No one gets close enough to the ball, and a player of that quality is going to find the pass. It's a good run by Mason Mount into the box, just wasn't really very well tracked. You're probably expecting more from your right back to track the runner on the inside, and a good finish, and game's out of sight by then.
You say keep a close eye on Bruno Fernandes. There's a reason for that. We all know some assists are questionable, but not really with Bruno Fernandes. But he has now contributed to the most in the Premier League this season. Bruno Fernandes ahead of the likes of Cherki, Kudos, Doku. Your own Jack Grealish is on that list as well. He's always alive and looking for something, isn't he?
Yeah, we said it in game. He's at the heart of everything for Manchester United. He seems to be, every time there's a goal involvement, a cross that causes a problem for the other team, a pass, it always seems to be Bruno at the heart of it. And you see, you give him 5-10 yards of space there, he's going to find the pass. So you need people as close to him as possible at all times, and Wolves didn't manage to do that tonight.
Now, we found the fourth in the penalty spot. Before we see him converting it, there's a little bit of a discussion to have, shall we say, about the awarding of it, considering one wasn't given in the first half. But let's take this one in isolation first. Any issue?
No issue.
Good use of VAR?
Good use of VAR, yes. I thought it was quite similar in many ways. The only thing that I thought was different is this definitely hits him below the shoulder. It's sort of on the forearm stroke elbow, so it's definitely in a position, no question about it. But I think it was similar in a way. Both, you know, sticking their arm out when the ball was heading towards goal. I mean, I thought they were both penalties. I probably thought that was more of a penalty just because it hit him a lot lower on the arm.
And Bruno Fernandes dispatched it. But is that a good use of VAR for you?
I think we think that both of them are penalties. So I'm confused as to why one is and one isn't. But for me, that's a guaranteed penalty and easily dispatched by Bruno.
OK, so let's have a look at the one that wasn't given in the first half against Agbadou.
Michael's got this at 70%.
Yeah.
So what's the Mosquera
You were 99.
one?
So I think they're very similar. The only difference is that hits him a little bit higher.
Half an inch?
Does it hit him on the badge? Listen, I think it's a penalty. Stop shaking your head at me. Yeah. I think it's a penalty, all right? But we all know the rules, Steve. We all know that it's got to be... I mean, that hits him low. That's definitely a penalty. I think the other one is a penalty, but I think that hits him so low and he sticks his arm out. That's, you know, that's undisputed. As I say, I think they're both a penalty. I'm just trying to understand from a VAR's point of view why they wouldn't give it. And I think one question mark could be, was it too high? I don't think it was, but I think that's possibly one question. But no, I thought they were both penalties.
Yeah. Just watching that one back there, it looks like he maybe flinches at that one a little bit, whereas Agbadou's arm is maybe just a bit out. He actually looks like he throws his arm out a touch more just as the ball gets towards him. Maybe just in it like an instinctual reaction to that. But yeah, for me, both are penalties.
As opposed to moving your body. No. Right, let's get some Manchester United reaction instead after that 4-1 win. Here is Ruben Amorim.
Ruben, it took a while to get into your stride, but you must be really pleased with how convincing it was in the end tonight.
Yes, of course. I think we started the game really well. We scored the goal and we let a little bit Wolves to come back to the game. We suffered in the last play of the first half, but then in the second half, with good pace, with good quality in the decision, we finished the game. And also Wolves is in one difficult moment, so I think it was a good win.
You had the most shots of any game since you've been in charge. I know you can only play against the opposition in front of you, but did that show perhaps you're getting more clinical?
No, we scored 4, but we had a lot of shots, so I cannot make that connection with more clinical. I think we improved a lot. If you compare last season and this season, we are creating so much more chances and score more goals and having more real situations of danger, so I'm really pleased with that.
You brought Mason Mount into the team. You must be really pleased with the way he worked with the front three and the way they were particularly fluid throughout the match.
Yeah, they have the quality to do that. They can change positions, especially if you play a guy like Mateus Cunha. He moves more than a normal 9 or typical 9, so we took advantage of that.
If there was a concern, it must have been that you only went in 1-1 at half-time. Were the words needed to be said that you had let Wolves back into the game then?
Yeah, well, that was clear. It was so clear that the players felt that we scored a goal, we have the game control, we are creating chances, no chances for the opposition, but we need to understand that in our moment anything can happen. And it doesn't matter the result, we need to push forward, and we did that in the second half.
And was the early goal in the second half perhaps key to that and giving the players the belief to push on?
Yeah, but I felt since the first minute that if it's not sooner, we would win the game. So I really enjoyed the way we played the second half.
And looking forward, really important to build on this now and put in another performance like that with that creativity?
Yeah, every week that we win a game, I have that question. So we need to win the next one. This one is in the past. Let's go.
Thanks for your time, Ruben.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, Monday Night Football next week is Manchester United again against Bournemouth. 27 shots they had there, but as we've said, it's difficult really to judge given the opposition, but they can only do what they've done tonight. And as he was pointing last season, they weren't doing that even against the worst team in the league, were they?
No, last season was so bad. It was such a write-off. This season is better. Still lots of room for improvement, but creating so many chances, scoring 4 goals can only help. As you say, there is a slight caveat that Wolves are one of the worst teams we've seen in the Premier League. But you can't do any more than that. I mean, as much as Wolves are a poor team, there's no mugs in the Premier League. You know, it's always of a decent standard. And Manchester United have dispatched them pretty comfortably. I mean, they must have been sick as anything going in at half-time, 1-1. I mean, Wolves hardly had a kick in their box, and they've gone in, they must have been shaking their heads. But thankfully, from their point of view, they put it right pretty early in the second half, and it was all over after about 50, 55 minutes.
Although you kept the clean sheet against them, they are creating more chances than they were last season. They are much more potent offensively, aren't they, with the players we've discussed?
Yeah, I think we saw the strength of United tonight. If they've got space in behind, with the pace they've got, the quality of players like Mount, Bruno Fernandes and Bremo making the runs, Cunha dropping into the space to create the space in behind, we saw a real strength of United tonight. I'm sure not every team in the league will give them that amount of space behind, but tonight you saw, as I said, the strength of the players they've brought in and the quality of them, and to score 4 goals. OK, that is the positive side of the story for Manchester United. Yet another defeat for Wolves, and then his 4th game in charge of the club for Rob Edwards.
Rob, another defeat tonight. Let's deal with the positives, though, because towards the end of that first half, you got a goal, first time in a while, and the roof nearly came off here.
Yeah, look, we got ourselves back in the game at half-time. But the goals we conceded, we're never going to get anything from a game with the first 3 goals that we conceded. We gave the ball back to them. There you go, Manchester United. And it's going to be impossible to win a game of football that way.
The first goal that you conceded in particular, it was so sloppy, and that kind of was a feature of the first 30 minutes or so, the number of times you got the ball and gave it away straight away. Yeah,
it's understandable at times because there's a nervousness around. You know, the boys aren't at their full level and there's a lack of confidence and rhythm. You can see that. You know, they're human beings and they feel it. So, you know, I can understand that a little bit, but we were still in the game. But, you know, those big moments, the most important ones, we're in control. I think for the second goal, real chance for a really good attack, and then we lose it, quick turnover. Third one, I think we won it back 3 or 4 times and insisted on giving it back to them. And by then 3-1, it's obviously really tough.
How do you go about lifting low confidence levels, Rob?
Well, it's difficult, especially at this level in the league, because we're getting punished. So we've got to try and work very, very hard. We've got to keep our heads down, work hard, and try and learn and try and improve. Be consistent with what we're trying to do every day. But it's not going to be a quick turnaround.
You were saying the other day that you don't want to go down at all, obviously, but certainly don't want to go down with a whimper. Do you feel tonight you got a little bit more from your team than you did a week ago against Forest?
I think there was elements of us that were better, especially at the back end of that first half, than last week against Forest. But ultimately, we gave too many big chances away. We didn't give that away against Forest. So I'm not sure about that. I think some of the turnovers tonight were too cheap, and as I say, we shot ourselves in the foot.
You can understand the supporters' frustration, but how important is it that they try and stay behind you at the moment? Because at the end there was a couple of substitutions, and the players that were being withdrawn were cheered off, and that can't be good for anybody, can it?
Look, I understand their frustration at the moment. I'm not going to tell the fans what to do. I would obviously love them to support the players and continue to do that, but they've got to see the effort and commitment in return. And I think at times, mistakes were punished tonight, and obviously that then filtered through. So there was an anger then in the stadium, and obviously that transferred onto the pitch with a bit of a nervousness as well. The lads are trying. They are trying, but supporters are angry, and I get it.
You always knew it would be hard. Yeah. Is it proving harder than you originally anticipated?
It's the toughest league in the world, and we came into a situation where the lads hadn't won since April, so I wasn't anticipating it just to be a quick turnaround at all. It's going to be difficult.
That's your time, Rob. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers.
It is going to be difficult, and they are just a couple of games more defeats away from the longest winless start to a Premier League season. That unwanted record is currently held by Sheffield United in the 2021 season. And we've spoken about this, James, from your experience down there as well. When you continue to lose, they are human beings. And Rob Edwards has said there's no magic wand here as a new manager to coming into this situation.
No, there's not, unfortunately. I think they're going to have to find a way just to sort of shore up at the back. I think before tonight they'd actually defended quite well in previous games, and tonight was probably the most open they've looked against a good attacking United lineup. But from this point onwards, they probably need to stop the goals going in and just find a way to score a goal, whether it's a set piece, a counter attack, any way just to score a goal and start putting some points on the board. And I think as you put points on the board, that'll start to breed a bit more confidence into the team. But right now it's difficult because they can't seem to get a point from anywhere.
And Michael, understandably, they aren't together as a club. We saw supporters arriving late as a process, turning their backs on the action, cheering substitutions. It's just tough. Yeah, it is tough, isn't it?
It is tough, yeah, because you totally understand how they feel. They're watching, their team sell all the best players all the time. They're not watching great football. The frustration then spills over onto the crowd. But if only they knew how it makes you feel as a player when you don't feel loved, when you feel like you're getting booed, when there's complaints and protests and things like that. It all has a negative effect. Fans are so important. I mean, if they create a really positive atmosphere, then it really does help. But you can understand their feelings.